Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to doctor-recommended Daily Dose Radio, packed with protein and probiotics. This is your Salter's Pharmacy, 9 out of 10 doctors. They say you should listen to Daily Dose Radio. So here we are, and we're looking today at verses 90 and 91, Psalm 119. We're looking this week, Forever section, here in the 119th Psalm. And we're going to read today verses 90 and 91, and again, this is my translation. For generations you are faithful. You establish the earth, and it stands. For your judgments stand today, for all things are your servants. First verse there, verse 90, generations you are faithful. This is an interesting phrase, actually, in the Hebrew. I've translated it simply, generations. Your translation that you usually study from probably has a better translation than that. The language here is for generation and generation. So it's from generation to generations, or from one generation to another. That's probably a better way to translate that. It's a little smoother in English to say from one generation to another, or just simply as I've translated it here, 4 generations. The idea is that with each successive generation, the Lord demonstrates His faithfulness, and His faithfulness to His Word, and His faithfulness to the promise in His Word towards the people in that generation. So as one comes and one goes, the Lord is demonstrating His faithfulness to us. And His faithfulness is seen, if we need a witness, in the earth. Notice the second stanza there. You establish the earth, and it stands. There's our word stand again. It stands. So we can look about us at creation, to the heavens, to the earth, to the seas, to the things under the earth, and we see that these things have been created by God, established by God, and they are secure. They're not going anywhere. So they've been created, and they witness to the fact that He is faithful to His Word, which, remember verse 89, the Word of the Lord stands in the heavens. So it's forever there, and now apply that to our lives. He's faithful to us from generation to generation, and that is witnessed by the created order that He has made, which also stands. So we see it testifying to something heavenly in the Word of God. And then we have verse 91, your judgments stand today, for all things are your servants. Your judgments stand today, or this day, or the day stands because of your judgments. Maybe another way, probably a better way to translate that. For all things are your servants. Now we get to that last clause there in verse 91, and we say, oh, wait a minute, all things do not serve Him. Oh, but I think they do, friends, because you see what that stanza tells us, we have to translate it in light of His sovereignty, and He is a sovereign God who rules over the affairs of men. You say, well, how can things that are evil serve a holy God? Because He's sovereign over all things. He made them. All things serve His purpose. Just imagine Joseph's brothers and their wicked intentions to kill and then to sell their brother into slavery. Well, did God use that? Absolutely. But why? Because He's sovereign. He foresaw that action. He allowed it to take place because He knew the end was going to be something that He had designed to preserve Israel. Imagine, for example, Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was, what God said of him was that he was His sword, but Nebuchadnezzar was a wicked man. He was never going to bow the knee to Israel's God, and as a matter of fact, when the prophet said that of him, he was not yet even king of Babylon, but he became king, and God used him to destroy the temple, the city, and to carry the people off into captivity, which was His grand will. So those examples, and there are many, many more that we can glean from the Scriptures that show us that all things are His servants, whether or not they have submitted themselves to Him or not, because He is sovereign over all and faithful from generation to generation. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.